This was me back in high school when I was trying to gain as much weight as possible. I wanted to get to the position that I am now, but I was finding it very difficult because my parents didn't want me to eat as much food as I was. I was just like piling on loads and loads of food, eating everything in the house. And she said things like it was too expensive. My mum would say it was too expensive. You know, you shouldn't be eating all of this, etc., etc. And I feel like I'm at the point now where I know exactly what I can eat, and my mum understands that as well. My dad understands that, and I've got to like a unison, like a good point where I'm at, and I want to share exactly how I got to this stage, because obviously it's not easy, and that's why you're here. So, why do parents actually get annoyed? Let's just clear this up so you probably know. Well, first of all, they think when you're piling on loads and loads of portions, you know, maybe you have like a Sunday dinner or whatever, and you're just like getting all the potatoes, all the meat, everything, trying to get as much food as possible. They think that you're just wasting food because they think you're just having massive portions and you won't be able to eat it. Second of all, they don't want you to spend more money. This is probably the most obvious one, because they say we can't afford all this food for you because you're just like piling on loads and loads of food, which is fair enough. They don't understand how bulking works, like they're not actually educated on how this works, so they think you'll just get fat, right? And it makes sense. You can't blame them for this. When you eat more food, you get fat. That makes sense. Not entirely true, as you know, but in regards to what they believe, what they've been taught is true for them. And then, of course, they don't believe you actually need to gain weight there. You're just perfect just the way you are, which you wouldn't be on this video if you were. So sometimes it's hard to just take that gut punch and realize that you're not perfect and you want to get to a better point, and that's a good thing. So unfortunately, don't listen to that advice. Get bigger biceps and you'll be happier, trust me. So strategy number 1. I like to sneak in like these sneaky calories. So I'll get onto this later, but if you cook your own type of meals, then you can add certain things like olive oil, packed full of calories, and it's like pure fat. Fat is very good for you. Fat won't make you fat. That's not how it works. An excess of calories compared to what you burn, that's how you gain weight. But fat is an essential nutrient and it is fantastic for you. So this is like a godsend in terms of bulking. Butter is kind of the same thing. It's animal fat and it's just really good for you. Make sure you get this one though. If you're getting like the spreadable butter, that's just pure chemical, it's terrible for you. See if you can educate your mom or your dad or whatever to get this real butter, or real butter or olive oil. Don't be having like the, you know, like the spreadable one. Like, I can't believe it's not butter, because it's just pure chemical and it's just awful for you. So if you cook your own meals just to begin with, I know this won't apply to everyone because I didn't used to cook my meals, but if you can, add these extra bits, or just say to your mum or dad, can you just add like a bit of extra olive oil or something like that, and say you really like it, and they might, you know, they might just say, okay. Next is peanut butter. Peanut butter is packed full of calories, like a little tablespoon, like 200 calories. Again, lots of healthy fats. And I put this one, pip and nut especially, because it is just peanuts and sea salt, and that's it. Again, when you're trying to bulk up, I don't want you to be eating like pizza and chips and all this kind of bad stuff. You want to eat whole foods, natural foods, and this is a good point that we can talk about later, because when you're eating these whole foods, it is so good for you compared to obviously bad foods. And then your parents will be like, oh, he's eating really healthily. Okay, I'll keep going with this. This is good. I like him eating healthy. So you can get this one. There's another one where, 100% nuts peanut butter. Yeah, I think you can get this from Aldi or somewhere. Yeah, it's something like this. This one. I'm sure it's this one. If it would load, that'd be fantastic. This one here, I'm clicking on it, but it's not doing anything. But there we go. This one. See when it says no palm oil? If you just check the back, check the ingredients, then I think it's just nuts. And obviously it's packed full of calories and not full of all the bad stuff. And also, this is cheaper than this one because this one's slightly expensive. So that's another option you can go for. But peanut butter, natural peanut butter, is fantastic. Next, if you drink milk, you probably do drink milk. First of all, if you don't drink milk at all and you actually want to gain weight, I've noticed that it's given me a little bit more acne and it doesn't make me feel great. I think raw milk could be very good, but you know, I'm not at that point yet. But anyway, nonetheless, when I was first starting bulking, milk is a godsend. Packed full of calories, packed full of protein. It does have a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, which is probably why I'm getting all the acne, because I don't really consume much sugar. But most of my carbs in the day come from milk. That's besides the point. If you drink milk right now, if you don't drink milk, drink milk. If you do drink milk, upgrade to whole milk, full fat milk. And full fat is good for you, as I said. if it says like low fat or anything like that on anything you eat, they've just pumped it full of ingredients like weird chemicals like polylistophane or something like that, and it's like, how is that better than fat? You need fat, right? So get the full fat milk and just say to your parents, oh, it's what, like my dad was always like, oh yeah, drink loads of full fat milk because it's what like Arnold drank. Basically, you want to, it sounds bad, but you want to manipulate them into agreeing with what you're saying. So instead of saying, oh, can we get full fat milk? Say, oh yeah, Arnold, my, you know, like sorry, communication skills off today. Your dad loves bodybuilding or something. He loves like Arnold, you know, like the movie stars or something. Make it so he enjoys it too. Say, oh, Arnold used to drink this milk all the time, and he actually did. He drank it like every meal. So can I have it too? And be like, yeah, sure. Or, you know, you just got to make it appeal to them, right? Because you're not trying to convince yourself, you're trying to convince them why you should do it. And don't just say, oh, it's got loads of calories, because they don't care and they'll think it makes you fat. So make it glamorous in their eyes. So upgrade from like green or red milk to blue milk. And now moving on to high calorie shakes. So you can make these shakes by yourself if you've got like some sort of blender. I didn't have a blender, I don't think, and I never used to make them. But you can just add all these ingredients, you know, like milk, peanut butter, you know, olive oil even. You can add lots of stuff like oats and everything like that, right? And fruit and everything. And you can just say, oh yeah, I'm just making a fruit smoothie. And they'll be like, oh, that's healthy, you know, but instead you're just packing it full of ingredients. And because it's so like small, because it's all like grinded up, they won't be able to tell how much you've actually used. And it sounds really bad, but if you want to get to your goals, unfortunately, you've just got to do it, because it's very difficult if you abide by your parents' rules sometimes. And that's just because they don't understand the things you understand. And it's very unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. So, strategy number 2, invisible snacks. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like sneaky little snacks, but these are just very high calorie and they seem healthy for you whilst also being like packed full of calories. So nuts, handful of nuts on the way to school, that's like 200 calories, like a ton of protein. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get into it today actually, but the protein quality is not very good in nuts. In like meat and eggs and milk and stuff, it's way better, but in nuts, the calories are there, right? So, and also your parents will be like, oh, that's good for you, nuts, yeah, it's it's what they have on all the, you know, like the food pyramids or whatever. Yeah, nuts are good, yeah, have that. Cheese is insane. I used to eat this just before I go to bed, which I wouldn't recommend because it keeps you up all night, but it's absolutely insanely calorie dense and a ton of protein as well. It's just like hard milk essentially, but it's so good. And you can just eat this with like some fruit. I used to eat it with an apple, and then your mum's like, oh, Sam, that's a very healthy meal. Boom, there you go, like an extra 500 calories. It's insane how much, just like a little chunk of cheese is like 500 calories. Dark chocolate. Now this is expensive. You can go to like Lidl or something like that, or Aldi, and you know, you can get like cheap versions, but I wouldn't say go anywhere below 85%, because that's when they start adding like, you know, weird chemicals and stuff, and you don't want that in your system. So 85% and above is good, and it's got like 200 calories for like 2 squares, you know, like 2 little squares, which is just insane. And obviously it's quite healthy for you. It's got like, I don't know, like antioxidants or something in it. But if you just say, oh yeah, I want to eat chocolate before, you know, say if you have like a pudding, you could say, instead of having my usual, I don't know, Lion Bar or Kit Kat or something, you know what you have after like dinner. Instead, I want to be a little bit more healthy and I want to have dark chocolate because it's really good for me, or something like that. As I said, you need to make it seem good in their eyes, right? So the healthy option is probably the best way to go about this whole thing. Just convince them that everything is healthy, because it is. It's so, if you eat like this, whole foods, it's so much, I know this isn't exactly a whole food, but it's a lot better than normal chocolate. It's so much better than what you're consuming anyway. So you're actually telling the truth. And then full fat Greek yogurt. Again, don't get the low fat stuff, because first of all, it tastes crap, and also it's full of crap, so just don't have that. But full fat Greek yogurt, you could just have that with some like blueberries or something, as you can see here, you know, and your parents are like, oh, that's really good for you. And you can even explain to them, I'll get on to educating in a bit, you can literally just explain to them that full fat is just way better, because fat is very good for you. Fat doesn't make you fat, and also everything else has just got loads of lab-made chemicals in them. Like if you say lab-made chemicals that are really bad for you, then they'll probably be like, oh, I didn't even know that. You know, like it's just, you have to open their eyes to this stuff. So, strategy 3, this is what I was talking about before. You can cook your own food. So this is what I've started doing recently. So you can, this is funny, you could offer to cook for the family, but you could just add extra portions for yourself. You know, you have like one little portion for your younger sibling or something, and you have like 3 times the portions and just like eat it on the way into the room, into the lounge or whatever. You know, just any way to get the calories in, you know. But just say that you're making food for everyone. Maybe I'm gonna cook for my mum tonight, yeah. And they'll be like, you know, in a good mood, everything, after a hard day at work. And then you can just eat all the calories. And just, as I said, you can literally just eat it just before you go in to, you know, serve it to them. And I know that sounds bad, but, you know, it is what it is. If you want to get to your goals, you're gonna have to do some difficult things. And if you want to actually get to your goals faster than I did, it took me just over 3 years to get to here. But if I would have known these, you know, little tactics, then I would have got to that point way faster. And if you want me to actually help you a lot more and give you like an exact step-by-step detailed guide on how to get this, then click the first link in the description and I will see you over there. Strategy 4, as I've been talking about, you can educate them. So I actually wouldn't recommend this very much, because if you start talking about like 1.2 grams per pound of body weight or something like that and give them all the sciencey stuff, they don't care and it annoys them. That's what I've noticed. If you educate them on the science, it won't work. If you educate them in the way of, it's almost like metaphors. So for example, as I said, you've just got to make it appeal to them, right? So rather than giving them all like, you know, broccoli is actually it's got like these phytochemicals in them or something, you know, like random stuff like that. It's like, nah, that won't work. But if you say, I want to eat really healthy, then they'll be like, oh, sound. And just say like, or, you know, chicken's like really healthy for you. And then I'll get like, you know, big biceps or whatever. And this guy, convince them that you can't get that big. I mean, you obviously can't, but just say, even when this is like a counteractive to you'll eat too much. When I'm eating too much, that's all going to fuel my muscles, and because I'm training, it'll help me get big biceps. But I cannot get this big because you need steroids for that, and obviously I'm not going to take steroids. And so I know the balance between getting fat and getting strong. So if I eat like just a little bit more than I would usually, then I'll get stronger. But I obviously won't get fat because I know how to not get fat. That was a terrible explanation, but you get the point. Just convince them and tell them that you can't get to this point of being absolutely insane, because you can't unless you take steroids, which, you know, don't take steroids. So you physically can't get that big, because my mum and my gran or whatever, they were really concerned about that. Like, oh my God, I don't want you getting too big. You know, after like 5 sessions at the gym, you just like look like Arnold. It's like, it's not how it works. And just say, yeah, it's just, it just makes me healthier. Like, not only just eating the healthy food, but just exercising every day instead of playing video games. There you go. That's a good point. Instead, you're out and about, you know, making gains at the gym. You're getting sociable, for example, down here. You can make more friends at the gym. Say, oh yeah, I want to go and work out with this guy from my school. You know, like, I don't know, Billy from my school, my best mate. I can hang out with him every day, for example. You know, and you've really just got to make it so you're trying to sell them on this idea of bulking, right? Sell them on this idea of eating more calories, more food. Because the same way I'm trying to sell you on this program that I've got, link below, I want to actually appeal to you. I can't just say it has got exactly this and it has got exactly this. You know, I can't list out like the exact details, because you just find it uninteresting. You see me as like a businessman, a salesman, right? But if I say that when you start building muscle, when you start this program, then you'll get to the point where I've got to, and you can see the transformation, because you're probably right here, right now. And you'll get to the point where you can start talking to girls, you can start talking to guys, you get like respect from guys, and you know, you don't get bullied anymore. See, I'm selling you the idea, and it's the same way you've got to sell it to your parents. And it's, as I said, it's quite manipulative, but you've got to do it. It's just a way of marketing, essentially. A lot of things are just business in life, and this is one of them. Unfortunately, you've just got to make it seem good to them. They've got to accept your offer. You can say that you join in sports. You can say that, you know, once I get big, I can join the football team because people will respect me more, or something like that. You just got to hit these little pinpoints, these little pain points of your parents that are like, oh, my son's not involved in this, or he could be doing that, and try and pinpoint that and say, yes, I can do that if I start eating more calories because I've gained muscle, and then I'll be able to do that. I'll get more confidence because I've got more muscle, for example. So you've really got to sell it to them. And finally, the strategy number 5, unfortunately, if it worst comes to worst, do it anyway. Do what you were going to say anyway. I remember my mum said, I just started keto at this point, which is where you don't consume carbs. And she said, I wanted to eat 4 eggs a day. In fact, no, I said I wanted to eat 6 eggs a day. And she was like, no way you're going to eat 6 eggs a day. That's really bad for you. Cholesterol is really bad for you. You don't want high cholesterol. And she just said no. She just said, no, that's really unhealthy. Even though it's not. Eggs are like a superfood that are really, really healthy for you. Fat's really bad for you, isn't it? No. But nonetheless, I can't just say I want to eat 6 eggs a day because of this exact reason, and give you like the science. As I said, it doesn't work. So she said no to me eating 6 eggs a day. So I said, okay, I'll actually I can't remember. She said no more than 2 eggs a day. She said no more than 2 eggs a day, and I went, okay. Next morning I ate 4, and the next day I ate 4, and the next day I ate 4. And unfortunately, it felt bad going against her, but I know that I just needed to eat these eggs, otherwise I wouldn't be full throughout the day. And I actually I can't remember what the word for it is, but essentially I said I was going to eat 6 eggs, which I wasn't, I was going to eat 4. But if I said 4, she'd say no way. But if I said 6, then she'd be like, absolutely no way. So 4 seems like, oh, okay, that's all right then, because it's not 6, as long as it's not 6. So it's just sales. I'm just selling it to her. But sometimes you just got to do it anyway. And I actually didn't get questioned very much, which is a surprise. But if you do get questions like, why are you eating 4 eggs? I told you not to eat 4 eggs. Then just say, oh, sorry, I was just really hungry, or something like that. And then the next day, just say, oh yeah, sorry, I just forgot. I just did it this morning without even thinking. And over time, she'll get used to it. Within a couple of days, she didn't even bat an eye. I was just eating, it's just my morning breakfast, And I would say with all this stuff, like the education and everything, do it over time. Just whenever, don't instantly go up to your mum and say, hi mum, I want to do this, I want to do this. You've got to implement it into your life, into her life as you go along. So maybe on today, your actionable step for today, you could eat like a handful of nuts, right? And just say, oh, these nuts taste really good, and they're really good because, they've got these, I don't know, like antioxidants or something in them. Something that sounds really good to her. She's like, I've got the nuts got, oh my days, the nuts have got these in them, they've got these in them, and they're really healthy, Like biology in school, I learned today that nuts are really good. Eating a handful of nuts every day is really good. So you've implemented that. And then maybe the next day you can say, oh yeah, apparently eggs are really good for this reason. And if I eat eggs, then this happens or something. And so you eat an egg a day, and then you eat 2 eggs a day, and then you eat 3, and then you eat 4, and you just build it up over time. And it's like this. You can't just go from here and go straight up like this. You've got to slowly increase how many calories you're eating. Unless your parents just allow you to eat it straight away, but if they do, then I don't know why you'd be watching this video. So just implement it over time and do what you were going to do regardless, because you know why you're doing it, you know what you want to achieve, and unfortunately, they might not be educated in the way that you have been, and obviously you can't teach them in that way, so just slowly build it up over time, and eventually you'll get to the point that you want to get to. So these are your action steps. So obviously in the way that I just told you, do it nice and incrementally. Sneak in extra calories by adding oils, butter and whole milk. Eat high calorie snacks, nuts, cheese and dark chocolate that don't really get noticed. Oh my days. I've been eating too many carbs right now, brain fog's crazy. On the way to school, as I said, you can eat these little snacks. Like I used to go to Asda and buy sweets on the way to school. That was when I was in year 7 or something. But you could go and buy some nuts or something. You could get, your pocket money or something. You could go and get some, I don't know, just something that's really good for you, like a pint of milk on the way to school. That'd look a bit random, but just nuts. Just shove them in your pocket and just start eating them throughout the day, because they're just amazing for you. Cook for yourself or make meals for the family if you can do that, and of course educate your parents, but make sure you don't argue with them. At no point do you want to go, no, I want to do this and you're not allowing me to do this. No, because if you do that, then that's just completely, the sale is off. You've lost the lead, right? You just can't do it. If you argue with them, then they'll hate the idea and they won't let you do it. So educate them slowly over time. And again, if you're serious about bulking up as a skinny high schooler like I was, then I've got a program specifically designed for you to get from this point where I was to this point where I am now, where my parents are completely fine with me eating basically whatever I want. But it's good because I'm eating very healthily, and of course I'm getting to the goals I want to get to, and I'm able to participate in sports with my friends, and of course I'm like super social as the gym guy, because I've been going for ages and I've got big shoulders now. So if you want to get to that point, then link in the description. I'll see you over there. Good night.